had a voice once, a real one, the kind that stops people mid-sentence. And one man with a clipboard and a white shirt, took it from me in 30 seconds. I didn't get it back for 30 years. 30 years. I washed floors. I raised children. I sat in church every Sunday, and I didn't make a sound, not one note. You think you know silence? I lived inside it. My name is Ruby Mae Williams. I'm 91 years old, and the story I'm about to tell you, I've never told anyone. Not my children, not my pastor, nobody. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, on Ferry Street. You know that street? It smelled like red clay after rain, like frying pork fat from Miss Odell's kitchen next door, and like old wood, the kind that never really dries out in the summer heat. Mama sang, Grandma sang, every woman in our house sang, on the porch, in the kitchen, at the stove. Singing wasn't something you did, it was something you were. The church was called Holy Spirit Baptist, on the corner of Farish and Monument. Small place, wooden floors that creaked like they were talking back to you. A ceiling fan that hummed all through summer, and a piano, upright, dark brown, one key stuck, middle C. I was 5 years old when I first sang in front of people. Amazing Grace. I remember standing at the end of the pew. The wood was smooth under my fingers, and I opened my mouth and something just came out. Something bigger than me. After the service, Pastor Elmore found my mama. He said, "Sister Williams, that child doesn't sing with her boys. She sings with something else." Mama cried. I didn't understand why then. I do now. You know that feeling when you do something and it feels like the most natural thing in the world? Like you were made for exactly that one thing. I had that. I had it early. Not everyone gets it. In 1951, I turned 18 and took the Illinois Central north, Chicago. I'd never been anywhere. I had one suitcase, brown leather, broken clasp, held shut with a belt, and I had my voice. A cousin took me to Mount Olivet Baptist Church on 31st Street. There was a choir there, 42 people, 2 rows, the women in white robes, and a director, Mr. Gerald Clayton, 60 years old, thin, always a white shirt, always a clipboard. I sang with that choir for 10 years. Funerals, weddings, Christmas, Easter, every Sunday. 10 years of early mornings, cold rehearsal rooms, hard pews, and music that moved through the room like something alive. In 1955, Mr. Clayton gave me my first solo, "His Eye is on the Sparrow." I stood at that microphone. It was silver, dented at the base, and I sang. When I finished, the church was quiet for 3 full seconds. Then it wasn't. Those were the best years. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Saturday rehearsals on 31st Street. Then $2 for coffee and pie at the Walgreens lunch counter. The owl rattling overhead. The smell of the city in autumn. Exhaust and wet leaves and something frying somewhere, always. April 1961. Rehearsal. Thursday evening, 7:30. We were running through the Easter program. Were you there? I came in early on the second verse, maybe 2 beats, barely anything. Mr. Clayton stopped the piano. He turned around and he said, quietly, but so the whole room could hear, Ruby, you pull everything toward yourself. You don't sing with a choir. You perform. That's not what we do here. I stood there, 42 people. Not one of them looked at me. The pianist stared at his keys, and I felt something happen inside my chest. Not pain exactly. More like a door closing, quietly, without a slam. I left that rehearsal. I didn't say a word. I took my coat from the hook by the door. It was a green wool coat. Bought it on Maxwell Street for $4. And I walked out. And I never went back. Has anyone ever said something to you, just a few words, and you carried them for years? Not because they were true, because you decided they were. I decided Mr. Clayton was right. That was my mistake, not his words, my decision. 2 years later, I married James Williams. He worked the railroad, Chicago and Northwestern line. Good man, quiet man. We had 2 children, Marcus, then Linda. I worked mornings cleaning at Cook County Hospital. Every Sunday we went to church, Mount Zion on Indiana Avenue. Beautiful choir, and I sat. Every Sunday I sat in that pew and listened to other women do what I used to do. James asked me once, Ruby, why don't you sing anymore? I said, I just don't feel like it. I said that for 20 years. 30 years. I don't want you to think they were wasted. They weren't. James and I had a good life. The children grew. I had good things. But there was always a room in me that was locked. And I had the key. I just refused to use it. What's your locked room? I'm serious. What is the thing you stopped doing because of one person, one moment, one sentence, and told yourself you were done? Think about it. I'll wait. James died in March 1991. Heart attack. He was 63. We were married 28 years. 28 years, and I thought I knew every inch of that man. 3 weeks after the funeral, I was going through his things, his nightstand drawer. There was a small notebook in there, brown cover, the kind they sold at Walgreens for 39 cents. I almost threw it away. I opened it. Inside were dates going back to 1963. And next to each date, a note, short ones. Ruby sang to herself in the kitchen. She thinks I didn't hear. Ruby hummed 3 bars of Amazing Grace while folding laundry. Stopped when she saw me. Ruby almost sang. She stopped herself again. The last entry was dated November 14th, 1990, 4 months before he died. It said, "I don't know what happened to her voice, but I've been listening for it for 27 years, and I'm starting to think she'll never let it out. That makes me sadder than I know how to say. The people who love you, they see the locked room. They see it. They just don't know how to knock. They wait and they wait. And some of them write it down in brown notebooks because they don't know what else to do. But here's the thing. And this is the part I never told anyone. At James's funeral, 3 weeks before I found that notebook, something happened. The choir started singing "His Eye is on the Sparrow," my song, the one I'd sung as a solo in 1955. And I opened my mouth, I don't know why. I didn't decide to. It just happened. And 30 years of silence came out. All of it. Right there in the third pew of Mount Zion Baptist Church on Indiana Avenue, with my son on my left and my daughter on my right. Marcus grabbed my hand. Linda started crying. Later, Marcus told me, he said, "Mama, I've never heard you sing, not once in my life." He was 26 years old, 26, and he never heard me sing. What did your silence cost the people around you? Not you, them. My son grew up not knowing his mother's voice. Think about that. He grew up next to a locked room. He never complained. He just didn't know what was behind that door. 2 months after James's funeral, I walked back into a choir rehearsal. Not Mount Olivet, a different church. New Covenant on 79th Street. I walked in. I told the director I used to sing, and she said, "Can you start Sunday?" I said yes. That first rehearsal, I was 60 years old. My voice wasn't what it was, but it was there. And the director, her name was Sister Pauline Grant. She stopped us mid-song, and she looked at me, and she said, "Where have you been?" I sang with that choir for 24 years, until I was 85. Funerals, weddings, every Sunday. And then my knees gave out, and I couldn't stand long enough. But those 24 years, I gave everything I had left. You might be thinking, 60 years old is too late to start again. I'm here to tell you it isn't. I got 24 years, 24 more years of the thing I was made for. What are you waiting for? What are you going to get if you start today? I still have that notebook, James's notebook. It's on my nightstand, right next to my Bible. I read it sometimes. I read it when I forget why any of this matters. Here's what I know now. Mr. Clayton didn't take my voice. He said some words. I'm the one who decided those words were the truth. I gave him 30 years. 30 years of Sunday mornings in that pew, silent, when I could have been this. I don't know who you are, but you're here. And something in that story hit you somewhere. Don't let it sit. Don't go back to whatever you were doing and forget about it by Thursday. That locked room, open it today. Every morning, right here in this chair, before anyone's awake, I sing. Just me, just the light coming in through those curtains. No choir, no microphone, no Mr. Clayton, just my voice. The one I was born with, the one that was always there, waiting.